Just Steve Williams.
Mild today, mostly cloudy, the high at 65. Clouds and spotty showers late tonight, low 43. Cloudy with a shower into the early afternoon tomorrow, the high 51. Partly to mostly sunny Sunday, high 53. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
46 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update, 7:30. Breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Medical equipment, personal protective equipment, a big topic of last night's COVID task force briefing. You had the Admiral Pawlczek, who's running point, and apparently Jared Kushner has been roped in to assist the Admiral and work at the discretion of Vice President Pence, the task force leader. You had Peter Navarro, who's running point for President Trump on Defense Production Act issues. And that was an issue that's the collective group spent a lot of time on because of stories like this. Florida emergency management guy Jared Moskowitz on with Tucker Carlson last night talking about his interaction with 3M, publicly criticized by the president yesterday.
For the last several weeks, we've had like a boiler room in our EOC chasing down 3M authorized distributors, brokers, supposedly representing that they sell N95 masks only to get to warehouses that are completely empty, being told that our shipments are on cargo planes and the flights don't even appear on FlightAware. We're chasing ghosts, Tucker. And so, I just decided to turn up the heat and tell people what is actually happening in the N95 mask space. And so, 3M reached out to us today. Their government relations folks wanted to have a conversation, and I thought perhaps maybe what 3M would finally say to me is that they have masks to sell me, but what I actually found out is even more frightening. It's what we suspected, which is that the system is completely broken, and that the authorized distributors who right now can't tell me a timeline when I'm going to receive my masks orders that I put in a month ago. And by the way, the terms and conditions are, I got to pay for the masks and can't cancel my order, is that 3M has lost total control. And so what I asked 3M is that, are they aware that their authorized distributors, U.S. companies, are telling me that the reason why our orders are being pushed down is because foreign countries are showing up with cash to purchase the orders. And when I told 3M that, not only did they not dispute it, I asked them if they've put out any guidance to prevent the behavior, and the answer was no. And so when I asked 3M, what is your production? They said they're making 10 million masks a week. And when I said, great, I have money, I'd like to purchase some of those, they said I couldn't, that they have no mask to sell me. And it's criminal what's happening.
And that infuriated President Trump, and Peter Navarro addressed it at the task force briefing.
Over the last several days, we've had some issues making sure that all of the production that 3M does around the world, enough of it is coming back here to the right places. So what's going to happen with the signing of that order in Trump time is we're going to resolve that issue with 3M probably by tomorrow close of business, because we can't afford to lose days or hours, even minutes in this crisis.
That's pretty bad.
I find Peter Navarro to be a little bit too enthusiastic about ordering American companies around as the point man for Defense Production Act issues, but certainly.
I hear it's needed, don't you think?
Well, but now consider this: we got 2 million masks from Taiwan, and on Bob Kraft's
Bob Kraft's bringing back a whole
a million from China.
Full. Yeah, on his 787, I think it is. Masks.
So I'm just asking the question: are global companies only allowed to go in one direction, meaning the American direction? I think what Peter Navarro said is more fair, which is the idea, is enough being held back for America, enough of 3M's production, because as the Admiral pointed out, you have had, I don't remember the exact figure, but we're in the tens of millions of N95 masks that have been distributed. I sympathize with the Florida emergency management person. But I think it's a little bit more complicated than just berating 3M. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, best-selling author of 3 Days at the Brink, FDR's Daring Gamble to Win World War II. And, of course, he hosts Special Report, which everybody knows. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Not lately. The president's taken over Special Report.
That's true. That is true.
It's like a defense production of my hour.
Is Peter Navarro pushing you around, too?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not 3M, but he's taking my hour.
Every time you get on set, you're like, please do it in the 6 o'clock hour. Do it later, right?
Well, the funny part is that every day, literally every day, we work all day for a complete show with a lot of reporters, panels, questions. So we're ready to go with a brand new, news of day show. So as I'm watching the clock tick by, I'm like, I wonder if he's going to wrap up here as we're like contracting our show like an accordion, seeing how we can get it all in, and then. I'm 0 for 3, but I got 30 seconds last night.
This is where you have to use your influence as a leading light of the D.C. press corps to tell some of your colleagues, stop asking redundant questions. You only get to ask the same question 3 times, not 6, and that'll tighten it up. Yeah,
that is true. John Roberts, though, has been good when he presses. Some of those issues, he really gets to the heart of it.
No, he's been great, and the president and the administration should be pressed on these matters from every direction. There's no problem with pointed questions. It's just silly ones or redundant ones. How many times do you have to answer the same thing?
I know. If I hear one more thing about should Americans wear masks, and he said repeatedly the last 3 days, and if you don't have a mask, put a scarf on.
Going back to the Defense Production Act. So this is really interesting because there is some tension here from a lot of different directions, from the private sector, from erstwhile conservatives like myself who who appreciate that Trump was initially restrained on invoking it because he understands the precedent that it sets, and we shouldn't be enthusiastic to do it, particularly when you generally have private sector preemptively volunteering. So this is another one of those difficult decisions that requires a balance.
It does. And listen, the default for someone from the business world and a Republican is to say that business, with some coordination, can work this out and can do it. The problem is that the scale of this is so huge that it becomes something that needs a real top-down, organization. And I heard an interview yesterday with Lieutenant General Honore, who obviously headed up all of the logistics for those hurricanes down in New Orleans and other places. And, he was kind of baffled by the structure as it's set up now and through FEMA. And, the reason that happens and that the military comes in and the logistics chain set up is because they've done it like this in the military forever, number one. Number two is that it takes out some of the possibility of scandal and some profiteer in some company that is, taking advantage of a crisis.
But here's the thing, the military has its own problems too, and government agencies have their own problems too with regulations and, interagency coordination since they're not used to doing it. So, for example, this story in the New York Times yesterday, if it's true, only 20 patients had been transferred to the USNS Comfort outside New York, and the USNS Mercy in Los Angeles had a total of 15 patients, and partly, according to medical professionals, it's the strictures that the military has instituted with respect to taking patients on board.
Yeah, and that's a problem too. I mean, those are supposed to be valves for those hospitals to put the other patients who are not COVID-19 onto them. And if there are any kind of restrictions, that becomes harder. And suddenly it's a logistical hurdle that you're like, is this just a picture of a boat that we have, or are we going to actually use this thing?
Right. Yeah, right.
And when Michael Dowling, he's the head of the Northwell Health in New York's hospital system, he says, I'm being blunt about this. This is a joke to bring these ships, and then there's hardly any patients on that one. There's only 15 on the USNS Comfort.
Yeah, and there are other hospitals where you ask them how many beds they're using and they're not reaching that. But then in the hot spot areas, they are getting pushed out. All of those other patients getting pushed out for COVID-19. So, it is a total balancing act, and really, it's about shifting logistics and shifting supplies.
A regular panelist on your program, Kim Strassel, over at Wall Street Journal, had an interesting piece yesterday about the COVID-19 test that all politicians face, and how some are choosing to seize the moment. Some being sort of post-partisan, like Gavin Newsom; others being bitterly partisan, like as Strassel documented, Nancy Pelosi. But it's interesting, yesterday something happened a little bit different. So Joe Biden had this press availability, via his compound there in Delaware. And he struck a very different tone. It was less accusatory. He was asked a question about this possible phone call between he and President Trump to talk about the response. And he said the phrase, he could learn stuff. I've got some ideas, and maybe he can learn some of the things that we experienced in handling H1N1, Obama-Biden, both the things that we did right as well as the things that we didn't. It was a rare sort of moment of not just attacking President Trump and the response, and sticking to the sort of Pelosi talking points about it.
Well, see, politically, I think that's how Joe Biden breaks through. If he suddenly comes off as the adult in the room above Democrats' partisanship, and it's not about hating President Trump, but it's about helping the country, if that's the message, then suddenly when you get to the fall, if he's campaigning on that, there are some people who will say, listen, moderate Republicans, suburban Republicans who say, okay, I've done this. Let's give this other one guy a shot. And that's how he's hoping to get voters, I think, because stirring the base Trump, I think, wins that battle because he can stir the base better than most.
And hey, Bret Baier, a quick question. My high school nurse just texted me this question for you. Why is there no information available on the age and underlying conditions of the dead?
That's a great question. We had 2 stories about that. Actually, the same story updated 3 times.
Oh, yeah, that got bumped.
I haven't aired it. But I hope to air it today.
Okay.
And that is a real look at the age and the underlying conditions of those fatalities. And also a look at the recoveries. I don't think there's enough focus on, not only the numbers, but the people. I mean, obviously we see Chris Cuomo and his interaction with his brother governor, but and he's in the middle of it. But we are not seeing a lot of recovery stories.
Right.
No, we need some hope here.
Well, and the New York
and some facts.
The New York City data, as of 4:30 p.m. yesterday, New York City Health Department, 1,562 deaths from COVID-19. 24 had no underlying conditions, so that's about 1.5%. I mean, and it's not to be dismissive, obviously, of anybody's life, but it's to provide some context so people understand magnitude, scale of the threat, it seems to me.
Yeah, and it's important, and it's morbid to go down that road.
Yes.
And it's not decreasing the importance of the warnings from medical officials. It is just giving you stats and data and facts, and that's what we're trying to do.
He is Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, a special report, usually when he's not interrupted by the COVID task force briefings.
I'm going to watch tonight.
Best-selling author of 3 Days at the Brink, FDR's Daring Gamble to Win World War II. Bret, thanks as always for joining us.
So I'm changing the tagline on my show, Fair, Balanced, and Unafraid, to We Are One Day Closer to Getting Through This.
I like it.
I love it.
That's a lot better than the hysterical chyrons and taglines of, death virus and so forth. I like that. Forward-looking.
All
Good.
right, guys.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, Bret. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Napa Know How. Whether you're a car guy or just a guy who uses a car or not a guy at all, you know the ear-piercing screech of a worn-out brake pad. But thanks to Napa, you don't need to know your way around a toolbox to get a quality part installed. Because while there are 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores, there are also more than 17,000 Napa Auto Care centers. So whether you do it yourself or have it done for you, all you need is Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company helps you customize your home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Unlike things you paid for you didn't need, like the Vacnado 2000. A Wi-Fi connected vacuum that uploads Dust Bunny data to the cloud for real-time optimization. Whatever that means. But really, it's just a very expensive doggy chew toy. With Liberty Mutual, get customized home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Right now, the best defense against the coronavirus, washing your hands, don't touch your face, and also keep a strong immune system. How do you do that? Well, you sleep well, you exercise, and you be proactive to boost your immune system by eating a healthy and balanced diet. You have to admit you're not doing that on your own, and that is where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules a day. I take mine normally around now. I take warm water and break open the capsules, stir it around, and drink that. 6 capsules will give you 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies.